The unveiling in the heart of the Galactic Council's space station, a grand event was underway. The hall was filled with representatives from various planets, their faces a mix of excitement and skepticism. They had come to witness a historical moment, the unveiling of humanity's latest creation, a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. At the center of the hall stood a massive curtain, hiding the new warship from view. The air was thick with anticipation as the council members exchanged whispers and glanced toward the stage. Most had heard rumors about the ship's strange design, but no one knew exactly what to expect. Dr. Elena Hart, a leading human scientist, took the stage. She was a tall woman with a confident smile and a passion for her work. She began her speech with a warm greeting to the council members, expressing her excitement to share humanity's latest achievement. Her words were simple, but her enthusiasm was clear. "Thank you all for being here," Dr. Hart said. "Today, you will see something truly unique. We are proud to present the most innovative warship in galactic history." With a dramatic gesture, she signaled for the curtain to be lifted. As it rose, gasps of astonishment filled the hall. The warship, floating silently on its display platform, was unlike any vessel the aliens had ever seen. It had an oddly shaped hull with bright glowing panels and strange protrusions. Its surface shimmered with colors that seemed to shift as the light changed. It looked almost alive. Admiral Mark Reynolds, the human fleet commander, joined Dr. Hart on stage. He was a broad-shouldered man with a stern face, but his eyes sparkled with pride. "This ship is not just a marvel of engineering," Admiral Reynolds explained. "It is a symbol of human creativity and innovation. Its design may seem unusual, but it is built to adapt and overcome challenges in ways that traditional ships cannot." The council members exchanged looks of curiosity and concern. Some leaned forward, eager to learn more, while others remained cautious, their expressions guarded. Among them was Takara, a diplomat from the planet Zorath. She was known for her sharp intellect and had a reputation for being hard to impress. She studied the warship with a critical eye. As the presentation continued, Dr. Hart and Admiral Reynolds described the warship's features. It had an energy shield that could change its frequency to counteract different types of attacks. Its propulsion system was based on a new type of drive that allowed it to maneuver with incredible speed and agility. The ship also had an experimental weapon system that used controlled bursts of energy capable of targeting and disabling enemy ships with precision. Despite the impressive features, the warship's appearance remained a point of confusion for many. Its irregular shape and glowing panels seemed to defy conventional design principles. Some council members whispered among themselves, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. Dr. Hart noticed the skepticism and addressed it directly. "We understand that this ship's design is unconventional," she said, "but its capabilities are real. We have tested it extensively, and it has performed beyond our expectations. We believe it represents the future of space warfare." The lights dimmed, and a holographic display projected a simulation of the warship in action. The crowd watched in awe as the ship deftly navigated through a series of obstacles and engaged in mock combat. Its movements were fluid and precise, and the energy bursts from its weapons were both powerful and controlled. As the simulation ended, the room erupted in applause. The initial doubts seemed to fade as the council members acknowledged the ship's impressive performance. Even Takara, who had been the most skeptical, appeared intrigued. "I must admit," Takara said, her voice carrying across the hall, "this ship is unlike anything we have ever seen. It may well be a game-changer in galactic defense." Dr. Hart and Admiral Reynolds smiled at each other, relieved and pleased with the positive response. The unveiling had been a success, and the warship had made a strong first impression. The representatives began to mingle, discussing the ship's potential and what it might mean for the future of galactic politics. As the event drew to a close, Dr. Hart and Admiral Reynolds watched the council members leave, their conversations filled with excitement and speculation. The warship had certainly captured their imaginations, and humanity had made a bold statement. The stage was set for the next chapter in galactic history, and the world watched with bated breath to see what would happen next. The first test, the grand unveiling of humanity's new warship, had left the galaxy buzzing with curiosity. Now it was time for the warship to prove its worth in a real-world test. The location chosen was a remote, uninhabited sector of space where no one would be in danger from the upcoming demonstration. The warship, named Aegis Vanguard, floated silently in the void. Its sleek, glowing hull was a stark contrast to the dark, empty space around it. Inside the command center, Captain Sarah Mitchell, the ship's pilot, and her crew prepared for the test. They were a mix of humans and aliens, each with their own roles and responsibilities. The crew's mood was a mix of excitement and tension. This test would determine if the warship lived up to its impressive reputation. Captain Mitchell, a seasoned space pilot with years of experience, addressed her crew. "All right, everyone, we're about to begin the test. We've simulated several scenarios that will challenge the ship's capabilities. Remember, we've trained for this, and we need to stay focused." The crew nodded, ready to show what the Aegis Vanguard could do. The test was designed to push the warship to its limits and demonstrate its unique features. Outside, the space was filled with floating obstacles and target drones. These were set up to simulate real combat conditions. As the test began, the warship moved with surprising speed and agility. Its movements were smooth and precise, cutting through the space debris with ease. The crew watched as the ship navigated the obstacles, its advanced sensors and propulsion system allowing it to make sharp turns and quick adjustments. The first challenge was a series of fast-moving target drones. The Aegis Vanguard's weapon systems were activated, and the ship's energy cannons fired in controlled bursts. The glowing panels on the warship's surface pulsed in rhythm with the weapons firing, creating a mesmerizing display of light and color. Each shot was accurate, disabling the drones with pinpoint precision. The control room was filled with a chorus of impressed gasps and murmurs. The alien observers, who had been skeptical of the warship's capabilities, now watched in awe. The ship's energy shields flared brightly as they absorbed and deflected simulated attacks, showing their versatility and strength. One of the more challenging parts of the test was a series of incoming asteroid simulations. The Aegis Vanguard had to navigate through a dense field of virtual asteroids while maintaining its speed and avoiding collisions. The ship's advanced navigation system and agility came into play as it deftly maneuvered through the obstacles. The crew worked seamlessly together, handling the ship's controls with skill and coordination. As the simulation progressed, the warship faced a simulated enemy fleet. The enemy ships were designed to test the Aegis Vanguard's combat capabilities. The warship's unique weapon system was put to the test again. The energy bursts from its cannons lit up space, striking the enemy ships with powerful focused blasts. The ship's defensive systems also performed well, effectively countering the incoming attacks and protecting the vessel from damage. Captain Mitchell and her crew worked tirelessly, their focus unwavering as they executed each maneuver and strategy. The ship's performance exceeded expectations, showcasing its bizarre but effective features. The energy shields adapted to different types of attacks, and the propulsion system allowed for quick escapes and strategic positioning. After the final test was complete, the Aegis Vanguard returned to its starting position. The crew, though exhausted, was visibly relieved and proud. The ship had performed admirably, and the test had been a resounding success. The control room buzzed with excitement as the crew reviewed the data and results. The alien observers, who had initially been skeptical, now approached with questions and expressions of admiration. They were eager to learn more about the warship's technology and how it had managed to perform so well. Dr. Hart and Admiral Reynolds, who had been monitoring the test from a nearby command center, joined the crew for a debriefing. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of accomplishment as they discussed the test results and the ship's performance. "This was a major milestone," Admiral Reynolds said, smiling. "The Aegis Vanguard has proven itself to be a formidable and innovative vessel. I'm confident it will make a significant impact on the galaxy." Dr. Hart nodded in agreement. "The test results speak for themselves. We've shown that the warship's unique design and technology are effective in real-world conditions. I believe this is just the beginning of what we can achieve." As the debriefing concluded, the crew and observers began to disperse. The Aegis Vanguard floated quietly in space, its glowing hull a testament to human ingenuity. The successful test had bolstered the ship's reputation and sparked interest across the galaxy. The warship had proven its worth, and the stage was set for its role in the unfolding galactic drama. Growing tensions, the successful test of the Aegis Vanguard had sent ripples through the galaxy. News of the warship's impressive performance spread quickly, reaching every corner of the known universe. Reactions were varied. Some were impressed and eager to learn more, while others grew anxious and concerned. The once enthusiastic excitement was now mixed with a growing sense of unease. In the heart of the Zorathian Diplomatic Council, Takara sat at her desk, reviewing the latest reports on the Aegis Vanguard. Her eyes narrowed as she absorbed the information. The warship's test results were indeed impressive, but the unconventional design raised many questions. She was known for her sharp mind and had been cautious from the start. Now her concerns were growing. Is it possible, Takara mused aloud, that this ship could give humanity an unfair advantage? Or is there something more to it that we don't understand? Her aide, a young Zorathian named Crix, looked up from his console. The reports indicate that the ship's technology is unlike anything we've seen before. It's highly advanced and could potentially change the balance of power. Takara sighed. That's exactly what worries me. If humanity's warship has capabilities that others can't match, it could lead to instability. We need to be cautious. Meanwhile, in a different part of the galaxy, the leaders of the Talari Confederation were holding an emergency meeting. The Talari, a powerful and influential faction, had been watching the Aegis Vanguard's test closely. Their leader, Grand Commander Raxar, paced the room, his massive frame casting a shadow over the gathered officials. This warship, Raxar said, his voice deep and commanding, could upset the entire power structure of the galaxy. We must take action to ensure that it doesn't become a threat. One of his advisors, a sharp-eyed Talari named Lyra, spoke up. We could try to replicate their technology, but it's clear that their design is unique. Our engineers have already confirmed that it's not something easily duplicated. Raxar nodded. Then we must consider other options. Perhaps a show of force will make humanity rethink their position. We cannot allow them to dominate the galaxy. Back on Earth, the crew of the Aegis Vanguard was dealing with its own set of challenges. The warship had become the center of attention, and with that came a surge of diplomatic and political pressure. The ship's unique technology was being scrutinized by various factions, and tensions were rising. Captain Sarah Mitchell and her crew had received numerous requests for information and demonstrations. They were doing their best to manage the influx of inquiries while maintaining the ship's security and operational readiness. In a closed briefing room, Admiral Reynolds met with Dr. Hart to discuss the growing concerns. The pressure is mounting, Reynolds said, rubbing his temples. We're getting requests from all sides, and some of the demands are bordering on hostile. Dr. Hart nodded. I'm aware. We need to handle this carefully. The last thing we want is to provoke a conflict. The Aegis Vanguard was designed to be a powerful asset, but it was never meant to be a catalyst for war. Just then, a message arrived from the Galactic Council, requesting an urgent meeting. The message was marked with high priority, signaling that the Council had pressing concerns about the situation. The meeting was held in a secure chamber, and representatives from various factions gathered to discuss the implications of the Aegis Vanguard. The atmosphere was tense, and the Council members were clearly divided. We need to address the growing unease about this warship, said Councillor Flar, a representative from the planet Xylar. The ship's capabilities are unlike anything we've seen. We must ensure that it does not lead to unnecessary conflicts. Another council member, Jarek from the Odron Coalition, spoke up. I agree. We should consider imposing restrictions on the use of such advanced technology until we have a better understanding of its potential impact. As the discussion continued, Takara stood at the back of the chamber, her expression thoughtful. She had been invited to the meeting to provide her insights and concerns. She understood that her warnings were being taken seriously, but she also knew that the situation required careful handling. After the meeting, Takara approached Admiral Reynolds and Dr. Hart. We need to find a way to address these concerns without escalating tensions further, she said. The Aegis Vanguard is a remarkable achievement, but it's clear that its impact is causing a ripple effect across the galaxy. Dr. Hart agreed. We're open to working with the Council to find a solution. We don't want to create conflict. We want to contribute positively to galactic stability. As the day drew to a close, the Aegis Vanguard floated in space, its glowing hull a symbol of both hope and apprehension. The warship had achieved a significant milestone, but its success had also set the stage for a new era of galactic politics. With tensions rising and the future uncertain, the galaxy watched closely, waiting to see how humanity would navigate this complex and evolving situation. The sabotage, the Aegis Vanguard, was now a symbol of humanity's technological prowess, but with its growing prominence came new threats. Amid the rising tensions and curiosity, a shadowy faction within the galaxy saw the warship as a dangerous tool that needed to be neutralized. Unknown to most, a plan to sabotage the ship was already in motion. In a hidden base on the remote planet of Quran, a secret meeting was taking place. The room was dimly lit, and its walls were covered with maps and schematics of the Aegis Vanguard. The group gathered was a mix of disgruntled aliens and rogue scientists, all united by their shared goal, to undermine humanity's new warship. The leader of the group, an alien known only as Zalor, addressed the assembled conspirators. Zalor was a tall figure with a scarred face and a reputation for ruthless efficiency. His voice was cold and calculated as he spoke. The Aegis Vanguard represents a threat to our influence. If we can disable it, we not only send a message but also buy ourselves time to prepare. A sharp-eyed engineer named Dr. Lyra, who had previously worked on the warship's technology, nodded in agreement. We've identified a few weaknesses in the ship's energy systems. If we can exploit those, we might be able to cause a major malfunction during its next demonstration. Zalor's eyes gleamed with approval. Good. We have a window of opportunity during the upcoming joint exercises. The Aegis Vanguard will be showcasing its capabilities to a large audience. It will be the perfect time to strike. Back on Earth, the crew of the Aegis Vanguard was preparing for the next major public demonstration. The event was meant to showcase the warship's advanced systems and its role in galactic defense. Captain Sarah Mitchell and her team were busy with final preparations, ensuring everything was in top condition. Remember, this demonstration is crucial, Captain Mitchell reminded her crew. We need to show that the Aegis Vanguard is as reliable and powerful as we claim. Stay sharp and be ready for anything. As the day of the demonstration approached, the crew worked diligently, performing routine checks and making sure that all systems were functioning perfectly. Meanwhile, the saboteurs were finalizing their plan. They had managed to insert a small device into the ship's energy systems during a routine maintenance check, a task made easier by their insider knowledge. The day of the demonstration arrived, and the Aegis Vanguard floated gracefully in its designated area of space. A crowd of galactic representatives and media personnel gathered to witness the event. The excitement was palpable, with many eager to see the ship's unique capabilities in action. Captain Mitchell and her team took their positions, and the demonstration began. The warship performed flawlessly at first. Its energy shields activated smoothly, and its weapon systems showcased their precision and power. The crowd was impressed, and the mood was upbeat. However, as the demonstration progressed, the hidden device within the ship's energy system began to activate. The saboteurs had programmed it to cause a series of minor malfunctions that would gradually escalate into a major problem. Dr. Hart, who was observing the event from the control center, noticed a slight fluctuation in the ship's energy readings. "Captain Mitchell," she said over the comms, "we're seeing some irregularities in the energy flow. Can you check it out?" Captain Mitchell's face tensed as she responded. "We're on it, Dr. Hart. Everything seems to be operating normally, but we'll run a diagnostic just to be sure." The crew started a thorough diagnostic, but the fluctuations grew worse. Systems began to fail intermittently, and alarms started ringing throughout the ship. The crew scrambled to stabilize the situation, but the problems were becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Outside, the audience watched in confusion as the Aegis Vanguard seemed to struggle with its systems. The once impressive display was now marred by visible glitches and erratic behavior. Whispers of concern spread through the crowd, and some representatives began to express their worries openly. Captain Mitchell's calm demeanor never wavered as she worked to resolve the issues. "We're experiencing technical difficulties," she announced. "Please bear with us while we address the situation." Meanwhile, the saboteurs were watching from a distance, their faces a mix of satisfaction and anxiety. They knew that their device had caused significant problems, but they were also aware that the situation could quickly spiral out of control if the crew could not fix it in time. Back in the control center, Dr. Hart and Admiral Reynolds were frantically trying to identify the source of the malfunction. "It looks like we have a serious problem," Admiral Reynolds said, his voice tense. "We need to pinpoint the cause and fix it before the situation escalates." Dr. Hart's eyes narrowed as she reviewed the data. The patterns in the energy fluctuations suggest a deliberate interference. We might be dealing with sabotage. As the crew worked tirelessly to stabilize the systems, Captain Mitchell managed to isolate the problem to a specific section of the energy system. "We've identified the issue," she reported. "It's an external device causing the malfunction. We're working to remove it and restore full functionality." With the crew's skill and determination, the malfunctioning device was soon removed and the Aegis Vanguard systems began to stabilize. The warship's performance slowly returned to normal, but the damage had been done. The demonstration had been marred by technical issues, and the audience's initial excitement was now tinged with concern. The saboteurs, realizing that their plan had not completely succeeded but had still caused significant disruption, retreated to their hidden base. Zaylor was frustrated but acknowledged the partial success of their operation. Back on the Aegis Vanguard, Captain Mitchell and her crew were exhausted but relieved. The immediate crisis had been averted, but the incident had left them with a stark reminder of the dangers they faced. The crew knew that the road ahead would be challenging, and they were determined to ensure that the warship's success would not be undermined by those who sought to bring it down. The counterattack. The sabotage attempt on the Aegis Vanguard had caused a significant stir across the galaxy. While the warship's crew managed to stabilize the situation, the incident had made it clear that the vessel faced serious threats from those who sought to undermine its effectiveness. Captain Sarah Mitchell and her team were determined to respond to the sabotage and ensure the warship's security. In the days following the failed sabotage, the crew of the Aegis Vanguard worked tirelessly to enhance the ship's defenses. The incident had revealed vulnerabilities in the energy systems that needed to be addressed. Engineers and security experts collaborated to implement new protocols and safeguards to prevent any future attacks. Dr. Hart, who had been instrumental in identifying the sabotage, led the effort to bolster the ship's security. "We've reinforced the energy systems and added additional layers of security," she said during a briefing with Captain Mitchell and Admiral Reynolds. "We've also increased our monitoring to detect any unusual activity or tampering." Captain Mitchell nodded in agreement. "Good. We need to make sure that we're prepared for any potential threats. The sabotage was a wake-up call and we can't afford to be caught off guard again." Meanwhile, on the planet Koran, Zalor and his group of saboteurs were regrouping after their failed attempt to disable the Aegis Vanguard. The meeting room was filled with tension as Zalor addressed his team. "We've shown that the Aegis Vanguard is not invincible," Zalor said, his voice filled with frustration. "But we need to be more effective. The sabotage wasn't enough to cripple the ship. We need to escalate our efforts and find a way to neutralize it completely." One of the saboteurs, a hulking alien named Korik, spoke up. "We've learned a lot from our first attempt. We can refine our approach and use the information we've gathered to be more precise. But we need more resources and support." Zalor's eyes narrowed. "I agree. I'll reach out to our allies and secure additional resources. We need to act quickly before the Aegis Vanguard becomes even more secure." Back on Earth, the crew of the Aegis Vanguard was on high alert. The recent sabotage had heightened their awareness of potential threats. They had implemented new security measures and were conducting regular drills to ensure that everyone was prepared for any possible attacks. The day of the next demonstration arrived, and the Aegis Vanguard was set to showcase its capabilities once again. This time, the event was even more heavily monitored, with additional security measures in place. The crew was determined to demonstrate that they could handle any challenges that came their way. As the demonstration began, the Aegis Vanguard performed flawlessly. The ship's systems operated smoothly, and the audience was impressed by the warship's advanced technology and capabilities. Captain Mitchell and her crew maintained a high level of vigilance, fully aware of the potential for another sabotage attempt. However, as the demonstration progressed, the ship's sensors detected an anomaly in a nearby asteroid field. The sensors picked up unusual energy signatures that suggested the presence of cloaked ships. The crew quickly realized that they might be facing another attack. "Captain Mitchell, we've detected several unknown objects in the asteroid field," Dr. Hart reported. "It looks like they might be cloaked ships. We need to investigate immediately." Captain Mitchell's face tightened with determination. "Prepare for a defensive stance. We don't know what they're planning, but we need to be ready for anything." The Aegis Vanguard moved cautiously toward the asteroid field, its sensors working to identify the cloaked ships. The crew maintained a high level of alertness as they navigated through the floating debris, searching for any signs of the hidden threat. Suddenly, the cloaked ships revealed themselves, emerging from their hiding spots. They were sleek, fast, and heavily armed. The Aegis Vanguard sensors detected that the ships were equipped with advanced weaponry and jamming devices designed to disrupt the warship's systems. "Enemy ships are engaging," shouted Lieutenant O'Connor, one of the ship's tactical officers. "They're using jamming devices to interfere with our targeting systems." Captain Mitchell acted quickly. "Activate the countermeasures and engage the enemy. We need to protect the ship and neutralize the threat." The Aegis Vanguard's energy shields flared as it absorbed the incoming attacks from the enemy ships. The warship's weapon systems fired back, sending powerful energy bursts toward the cloaked vessels. Despite the jamming, the crew's training and coordination allowed them to effectively engage the enemy. The battle was intense, with the Aegis Vanguard maneuvering through the asteroid field while exchanging fire with the enemy ships. The crew's expertise and the warship's advanced systems proved their worth as they managed to overcome the attackers. "Enemy ships are retreating," Lieutenant O'Connor reported, relief evident in his voice. "We've managed to drive them away." Captain Mitchell let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "Good work, everyone. We've managed to handle the situation. Let's ensure the ship is fully operational and continue with our security protocols." Back at the hidden base on Karan, Zaylor received the report of the failed attack with a grim expression. "The Aegis Vanguard is proving to be more resilient than we anticipated," he said. "We need to rethink our strategy and plan more carefully. This warship will not be easy to take down." The crew of the Aegis Vanguard continued to monitor the situation closely, knowing that their enemies would not give up easily. The battle had proven their readiness and ability to respond to threats, but it had also shown them that their adversaries were relentless. As the demonstration concluded and the audience returned to their normal activities, the Aegis Vanguard took a moment to reflect on the day's events. They knew that the warship's journey was far from over and that they would need to remain vigilant to protect their vessel and maintain their place in the galaxy. The Aegis Vanguard stood as a symbol of human innovation and resilience, facing challenges head-on and proving its worth in the face of adversity. The counterattack had reinforced the crew's determination to defend their ship and uphold their mission, setting the stage for the continuing saga of the Aegis Vanguard and its role in the galaxy's complex tapestry of power and politics. Reactions. Across the galaxy, the recent clash between the Aegis Vanguard and the cloaked attackers sent ripples through the galaxy. The failed sabotage and subsequent battle had made headlines across multiple star systems, and reactions were varied and intense. News of the incident spread quickly, fueling discussions and debates among galactic leaders, citizens, and factions. On the bustling planet of Nova Prime, a central hub for interstellar diplomacy, the news was the main topic of conversation. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, where representatives from various star systems gathered, was abuzz with activity. Delegates and ambassadors were discussing the implications of the Aegis Vanguard's recent ordeal. Chancellor Virok, a tall, dignified figure with a deep voice, addressed the assembly. "The attempted sabotage of the Aegis Vanguard has raised significant concerns. This warship represents a major shift in the balance of power. We must consider how this will affect our relationships with the human delegation and their growing influence. Ambassador Leora of the Zarnok system, known for her diplomatic acumen, nodded thoughtfully. The Aegis Vanguard has shown remarkable resilience. The failure of the sabotage attempt is a testament to its defensive capabilities. However, we must ensure that such threats are thoroughly investigated to prevent future incidents. As the debate continued, news of the battle reached other parts of the galaxy, sparking a mix of reactions. On the industrial planet of Drexelon, where numerous engineering and technological firms operated, the incident was met with a mix of awe and concern. In a high-tech research facility, Dr. Kellen, a leading engineer, reviewed the data on the recent engagement. The Aegis Vanguard handled the attack remarkably well, he said to his team. Their defensive systems and countermeasures were impressive. We need to analyze this further and consider how these advancements might impact our own research and development. His colleague, Dr. Mira, agreed. Yes, it's clear that humanity is pushing the boundaries of technology. We should explore ways to integrate similar technologies into our own systems, but we must also be cautious of the potential risks and implications. Meanwhile, on the remote mining colony of Endara, where most of the population lived in isolation from galactic politics, the news of the battle was met with mixed reactions. The miners and their families had little interest in the political machinations of the galaxy, but the incident sparked curiosity and concern. Goran, a veteran miner, spoke to his fellow workers at the local cantina. "Did you hear about that new warship the humans have? Sounds like they're really making waves out there. I didn't think they had it in them." His friend Lena shrugged. "It's not just about the warship. It's the fact that someone tried to take it down. Makes you wonder what kind of enemies they're dealing with." The Aegis Vanguard's demonstration and subsequent defense had also caught the attention of various factions within the galaxy. In a hidden base on the fringes of known space, the shadowy figures who had orchestrated the sabotage were analyzing the outcome of their failed attack. Zalor, the leader of the saboteurs, was furious. "The Aegis Vanguard has proven to be more formidable than we anticipated. Our initial plan didn't succeed, but the data we gathered is invaluable. We need to refine our approach and launch a more coordinated strike." One of his lieutenants, a tactical expert named Zarek, looked over the reports. "We need to focus on exploiting the warship's vulnerabilities more effectively. The recent engagement revealed some weaknesses in their defense systems that we can exploit with better preparation." Back on Earth, the crew of the Aegis Vanguard was reflecting on the recent events. Captain Sarah Mitchell and her senior officers held a debriefing session to assess the impact of the incident and their next steps. "We've seen how the galaxy is reacting to our presence," Captain Mitchell said. "Our ship has made a significant impression, but we also need to be prepared for more attempts to undermine our efforts. We must stay vigilant and continue to improve our defenses," Admiral Reynolds agreed. "The recent attack was a reminder that our enemies are out there and they're not going to stop. We need to keep pushing forward and demonstrating our strength while also working to build alliances and strengthen our position." The reaction from the galaxy had mixed implications. On one hand, the Aegis Vanguard's successful defense bolstered humanity's reputation as a rising power. On the other hand, the failed sabotage highlighted the risks and challenges that came with such prominence. The galaxy was now closely watching humanity's every move, and the Aegis Vanguard was at the center of this scrutiny. As the crew of the Aegis Vanguard continued their preparations and strengthened their defenses, they were also aware of the growing attention and the need to navigate the complex web of galactic politics. The events of the past days had set the stage for a new chapter in their journey, one filled with both opportunities and challenges. The Aegis Vanguard stood as a symbol of humanity's resilience and determination, facing the galaxy's scrutiny and potential threats head-on. As the crew prepared for what lay ahead, they knew that their actions would shape the future of interstellar relations and the role of humanity in the galaxy. A new balance. In the wake of the recent battle and the growing interest in the Aegis Vanguard, the galaxy was beginning to adjust to the new balance of power. The warship's successful defense had established humanity as a formidable force, but it had also brought new challenges and opportunities. As the dust settled, various factions and leaders across the galaxy began to reevaluate their positions and strategies. On Earth, Captain Sarah Mitchell and her crew were settling into a new routine. The Aegis Vanguard continued its missions, now with enhanced security measures and a heightened sense of purpose. The crew had become more cohesive, united by their shared experiences and the challenges they had overcome. In a briefing room aboard the Aegis Vanguard, Captain Mitchell addressed her senior officers. "We've seen significant changes in how the galaxy views us. Our successful defense of the ship has shown our strength, but it's also made us a target for those who want to challenge our position. We need to be prepared for anything." Lieutenant O'Connor, the tactical officer, nodded in agreement. "The recent engagement revealed both our strengths and areas where we can improve. We should continue to refine our tactics and stay ahead of any potential threats." Dr. Hart, the chief engineer, added, "Our ship's systems are performing well, but we must remain vigilant. The enemy is likely analyzing our defenses and looking for new ways to strike. We should keep improving our technology and staying one step ahead." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the reaction to humanity's rising power was varied. On the vibrant planet of Zarnok, Ambassador Leora was holding meetings with other delegates. The recent events had prompted a reevaluation of diplomatic strategies and alliances. This new balance of power has shifted the dynamics of our interstellar relations, Ambassador Leora explained to her colleagues. "We need to consider how we engage with humanity and how their growing influence will impact our own interests. It's crucial to build cooperative relationships and avoid unnecessary conflicts." In the outer regions of the galaxy, where independent and often lawless factions operated, the Aegis Vanguard's presence was causing a stir. The reports of the ship's capabilities and its recent defense had sparked both fear and curiosity among these groups. Korik, a leader of one such faction, addressed his followers in a dimly lit command center. "The Aegis Vanguard is a powerful symbol of humanity's strength. We need to assess our position carefully. If we're to compete or ally with them, we must understand their capabilities and intentions." His second-in-command, Vasha, raised a concern. "We need to be cautious. The recent attack on their ship shows that they're not easily deterred. If we engage with them, we must be prepared for a serious confrontation."